It's not showing. This is very easy topic actually. You have already studied in MD1. So no, you can see this. You already know carbohydrate. What is carbohydrate? So I don't need to tell much about carbohydrate. Let's see. So what do we? Which carbohydrate do we eat? Which carbo? What is the carbohydrate? Wheat.
Starch.
What? Starch. Wheat is starch. Okay. Whatever carbohydrate we eat, it is in the form of starch generally. And then in animal product, in animal like liver, if somebody eats, so there will be glycogen, and it is not that rich in. We cannot call animal food rich in carbohydrate. Plant food is rich in carbohydrate, and major plant food is starch. So we will talk about the digestion of starch. Digestion of starch. And then next thing we take in our diet is disaccharides. Disaccharide. Which disaccharide? We take sucrose. We take in milk. We lactose. Sucrose, lactose. So these are the compound. Actually, these are the carbohydrate we eat every day. Now you can see this. So digestion of carbohydrate, if you can see this, so digestion of carbohydrate happens, it will start from right from mouth, and it is digested by enzymes. Few enzymes in the intestine. It is the carbohydrate is actually digested in the intestine. So in the lumen of intestine, the enzyme that is present that comes from pancreas. It is a pancreatic enzyme that will digest the starch in lumen. And there are enzymes that is bound to this brush border. Okay, there are that are attached to this brush border. This brush border enzyme will digest this oligosaccharide and disaccharide. Oligosaccharide and disaccharide. Then there will be absorption of carbohydrate. So we will see what happens next. So luminal, you have seen luminal enzymes. These luminal enzymes are enzymes of pancreas. Salivary glands, you know, salivary it is start digesting in salivary gland. Then after that, it will digest. The starch will digest in small intestine. So I have already told you this. And then some carbohydrate can also be digested in intracellular cell by lysosomes. So you can see these are the digestive enzymes. You already know. I don't have to tell much about this. You know many things. So this carbohydrate, these are the complete digestion actually. Digestion. This carbohydrate is digested by the main enzyme is you'll see in oral cavities, salivary amylase. Sometimes we call it ptyalin. So this salivary amylase will digest little bit. If we chew the food, then this enzyme will digest carbohydrate. Then there is no digestion of carbohydrate in stomach. This carbohydrate will be digested in small intestine. The enzyme come from pancreas. This is called pancreatic amylase. After that, the epithelium, the brush border epithelium has enzyme formed. So it will digest the further. Oligosaccharide, it will convert into oligosaccharide and disaccharide. That disaccharide and oligosaccharide will be digested by this brush border enzymes, which is intestinal enzyme. So we have seen this carbohydrate. We will see these enzymes in protein chapter, and their nucleic acid digestion. We have actually nucleic acid digestion is done by nuclease. We will not talk about that, but nucleic acid metabolism we have already done. And fat digestion, we will do fat digestion also in upcoming session. So today we will talk about this this carbohydrate digestion. Just first look at the exocrine part of pancreas. So these are the exocrine part of. So exocrine part of pancreas has enzymes and electrolytes. So these are the enzymes. It is not that new things. Proteolytic enzymes are trypsin, chymotrypsin, and carboxylipidase. And lipid digesting are lipase. So lipase is the lipid digesting enzymes. And in addition to lipase, phospholipase is present. It will digest phospholipid and cholesterol esterase. Cholesterol ester will be digested by this enzyme. So 3 enzymes are there. Till now we have studied about this lipase only. You must have studied about lipase, but for the time after this lecture, just understand 2 more fat digestion. These are minor enzymes. Okay, very low amount of fat is there in the form of phospholipid and this cholesterol esterase. Especially phospholipid is high when somebody takes a non-veg diet, and this phospholipid is very less when somebody takes vegetarian diet. So these are the part of lipid digesting enzymes. So pancreatic amylase is only pancreatic enzyme that digest carbohydrate, and ribonucleases and deoxyribonucleases are present. So these 4 categories of enzymes are present in pancreatic juice, and this pancreatic juice has very plenty of water and these electrolytes, chloride and this bicarbonate. Chloride, you will study where this chloride is secreted in physiology. Nice. You can see this. I told this. Can you see this pancreas? Pancreas is such organ. It is actually, the pancreas is an organ that is actually required for digestion of food. Okay, digestion. The pancreas is responsible for digestion plus metabolism. Both actually are regulated. Both will be done by pancreas. That is why pancreas is very important. Metabolism. Now you can see this. Digestion is the function of exocrine pancreas. Exocrine pancreas, So the pancreatic juices will be secreted in the duodenum, second part of duodenum, through ampulla of Vater. Now this endocrine function. So endocrine function will release hormone. This hormone. So this is exocrine function, and endocrine function will be done by hormone. And this hormone, both hormone, insulin and glucagon, both are released from this pancreas. So pancreas is, remember, it's very easy to remember. Pancreas is very vital organ, and it is required for your digestion as well as metabolism of food. That is why without pancreas you cannot survive, because even if you eat food, it will not be digested and it will not be metabolized. So when pancreas are damaged, you will have diabetes. Not only diabetes, glucagon deficiency will cause a very severe type of crisis. So food will not be utilized. So people cannot survive without pancreas. This is the very important organ. That is why endocrine, exocrine, both are related to food. Exocrine will digest food, and then endocrine will metabolize food. So this you have understood this. This is the picture showing that. Now let's see, after it being digested, so everything, whatever food is digested, it will be absorbed except lipid. All food will be actually cross through liver. Okay, through which? Portal vein. Through portal vein. You know this. Have you studied about portal vein? Have you been taught about portal vein?
Yes, sir.
So what is portal vein made up of? What is the component of portal vein? Tributaries of portal vein.
It carries the absorbed food to the liver. I mean, I guess lipids.
Portal vein. Tributaries of portal vein. Which veins are the tributaries of portal veins? Splenic vein. Splenic vein. The vein that is present, spleen is present here. Okay, by the side of this, and the liver is present, like you can imagine the spleen is present here, like liver is on right side and intestine in the middle. So splenic vein will come like this, and then superior mesenteric vein will join this splenic vein, and then it will form. So you can see whatever all blood that comes, all digested food, absorbed food from intestine will pass through this liver. Understand this very important fact. So this is So this may look very complicated, so don't worry about it. It is a bit like your note. You can see the whole picture of pancreatic secretion is given in a fine detail, so that if you want to study something, how pancreatic secretion happens, the mechanism, you can study through this chart. It is for you. That is why it is for you. You can see here, if you can see here, there is muscarinic receptor, there is cholecystokinin receptor. You can see there are these receptors are there, cholecystokinin and muscarinic receptors are there. Muscarinic receptor are stimulated by acetylcholine, that is acetylcholine released from parasympathetic nervous system, and cholecystokinin is a hormone that will actually contract, that will cause secretion of enzyme part, enzyme protein from this pancreas. So these two will ultimately cause release of these enzymes. So parasympathetic action and this cholecystokinin will cause release of enzyme. These are the transporter, and that will transport chloride, sodium, and you know this through this enzyme, some sodium, other fluid, obviously some water will be released with along with minerals. So these are the different. These are two are more important. Just see this. And if you read something in other places also, you can see here everything is there. So these two will cause secretion. Now secretin is the hormone. You already know, you must have been taught. Have you been taught this secretin, about secretin, intestinal hormones? Anyone? Demilola? Demilola?
Sir?
Have you been taught about these intestinal hormones?
No.
No? So there are two types of intestinal hormones that is required for secretion of pancreatic juices. Okay, one is cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin is responsible for secretion of enzymes, and this secretin is responsible for this. Both are G protein coupled receptor, and this secretin is responsible for secretion of fluid, chloride and bicarbonate and fluid. You can see this chloride can release from here. And this is CFTR. Do you know what is this CFTR? Do you know?
No, sir. What is it?
Haven't you got cystic fibrosis? Cystic fibrosis?
Yes.
CFTR is the protein that is it is actually a chloride transporter. CFTR means cystic fibrosis trans-regulator receptor. So it is a chloride channel, ATPs, ABC, ATP binding cassette protein. It falls into the group of ABC, ATP binding cassette protein. It actually pumps chloride out of the cell, so that this cell will have this water will have very rich in this secreted water will have rich in chloride, and that is why this water will not there. If this is absent, there will be less water released. Because of this chloride, only water will be released in very high quantity. This secretion is because of this. So this is the function of this secretion. It will cause a release of water, bicarbonate, because you know this. Now let's see an overall picture of, we have seen the overall picture of all the GIT system. So we have seen what are the enzymes of pancreas that digest all the nutrients. We have seen the pancreatic secretion. We have seen how pancreas secrete the secretion. We at first actually we have seen what is the role of pancreas. Then we saw that exocrine function, how exocrine enzymes and fluid are secreted. Now let's see our overall picture of this absorption after we have seen. So absorption, you can see, you can understand, this is very important slide actually. Why? Here if you see this from intestine duodenum, this is very two important ions are absorbed here, minerals are absorbed, iron and the calcium, that is absorbed from duodenum. This is very important. Carbohydrate absorption involve whole intestine, because when carbohydrate digested, it will be absorbed by duodenum. You don't have to reach ileum. So you can see the whole of the intestine are duodenum, and duodenum will be required for absorption of the carbohydrate. Carbohydrate will be absorbed very rapidly. But what happens with fat and protein? There will be absorption of fat actually is very slow, and protein also. That is why the fat and protein will be absorbed throughout the intestine. Carbohydrate will be absorbed from the upper part of intestine, and fat and protein throughout the intestine. Did you get this? These are about absorption of macronutrient. This is 2 micronutrients you have to understand from duodenum, one from the duodenum, other from the terminal ileum. So this vitamin B12 is absorbed from terminal ileum. This is very important. Vitamin B12 absorption is very important. Now calcium and iron are absorbed from duodenum. So this is very simple slide, yet very important slide. Bile salt is also important. This is absorbed from terminal ileum. So remember at least these facts. Now, so let's talk about digestion of carbohydrates. So you know, don't you know what is a starch? What do we call this part of a starch? Starch is made up of 2 parts. What do we call this part of a starch?
Can you repeat it, sir?
What do we call? What is the name of this starch part? Straight chain.
Primary.
Yes, yes, primary.
Primary carbohydrate.
Not primary carbohydrate.
Primary protein.
No, this is carbohydrate. You are telling me protein. That's not fair, Divya.
Primary structure.
It looks like secondary structure of protein, but it is carbohydrate.
Yeah.
I told you how to remember. A million O's. O, 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 like these are connected like this.
Amylose.
Amylose, great. Amylose. Okay. Bilal remembers my trick. That's good. So what do we call this? So it is written here. You don't have to think. So what is written here? So how do you remember this? Make this A. And then this is A, amylo, and this is pectin. Haven't I made like this? Don't you remember this?
Yes, sir.
Tell me, do you remember Bilal?
Yes, sir.
So this is amylose and amylopectin. These type of sugar polysaccharides are there. One is branched polysaccharide is called amylopectin, and non-branched is called amylose. We need to understand this. See, this amylase, the name amylase came from amylose. Do you know this? This amylase can digest. Amylase can digest this completely, but not this completely. Okay? And a starch, the same way, it also cannot digest this glycogen completely, amylase. Why? I will tell you. Amylase can digest amylose completely, not amylopectin and this glycogen. It requires help of some brush border enzymes. We will talk about. Let's see this. So, do you know, we have already done this. So this alpha 1,4 bond, glycosidic bond is a straight bond. So amylase has, this amylose has alpha 1,4 bond, only alpha 1,4 bond. And this amylopectin at this branching only, at this branching, at this branching, at this branching, at this branching, here at branching, branching, at branching, at branching here, 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 here. Also here in glycogen at branching. Wherever there is branching, so this branching is you will find which type of bond at branching. Tell me, alpha.
1,
yes, Bilal. At branching, what type of bond you will find? Alpha.
6.
Yes, alpha 1,6 bond. At a straight chain, it is one alpha 1,4 bond.
Alpha 1,4.
Yes, at branching alpha 1,6. Now I'll tell you, this amylase can break this bond only. Okay? Amylase can break this alpha 1,4 bond only, not alpha 1,6 bond. It cannot break this alpha 1,6 bond. So this is very important to understand. Amylase can break this alpha 1,4 bond only. Now let's see this. So you already know all this is alpha 1,4 is a straight line. After this is a straight line will curve like this. So, and then this is branching. Branching is alpha 1,6. So alpha 1,4, alpha 1,6 you knew, and then every 8,2. This is the structure of glycogen. I have already talked about this structure. Now, in glycogen, the branching is very high branching. Glycogen is very high branching is present in glycogen, and this amylopectin is have lesser branching than this glycogen. That is the main difference. You can see this alpha 1,6. This is glycogen. I have already done this. Now I'll tell you. So as I have told you, you can see amylase only hydrolyze what 1,6 alpha 1,6 of a straight chain, and that means it will break amylose. It will break amylose, and it breaks amylopectin, but it cannot break completely amylopectin because this amylase cannot break this bond alpha 1,6. It can break up to this. So what will happen? There will be this part and then this part. So this bond will be left. This will be broken down. This will be broken down. Now sometimes what will happen? This and this will be left. Sometimes with this, what will happen? This will be left. So this part will be left. It cannot be. This part cannot be digested by this amylase. So this branching, you can see this part. This will be left, and this is called limit dextrin. Why limit dextrin? Because anything containing branch, we have seen in glycogen storage disease also, the limit dextrinosis is something that is the polysaccharide that is containing branches, 1,6 bond. These are called limit dextrin. So this is called alpha limit dextrin, and this alpha limit dextrin cannot be digested by this amylase. So did you get this? From this you will get maltotriose, this type of maltotriose. You will get this maltose. Maltotriose means 3 glucose. This glucose, this glucose. And maltose means disaccharide of glucose. This is trisaccharide of glucose. This is disaccharide, and this is glucose. So this is how 1,4 bond will be digested by amylase. Did you get this? Amylase digest 1,4 bond. It is easy, very easy. If you don't understand, I can repeat. So amylase will digest 1,4 bond. Like here you can see here also. So these are the amylase will digest 1,4 bond here. 1,4 bond. What is left is this is left. This cannot be digested by amylase. This type of bond cannot be digested by amylase. So this is called the bond, the branch containing alpha 1,6, and plus you see some carbohydrate will be attached to it. This type of carbohydrate is called alpha limit dextrin. You can see this hydrolyzed 1,4 linkage in polysaccharide yielding oligosaccharide, spare 1,6 and terminal 1,4. This terminal 1,4 linkage. Okay, these are the terminal 1,4 linkage. 1,4. I told you the enzyme will bind here and will cut this. The same way, bind here, cut this. Bind here, cut this. At the end, what will happen? They will leave one bond here, one bond here. That is how limit dextrinosis is produced. So this is how amylase act, leaving the terminal 1,4 linkage along with 1,6 linkage, and this will be digested by brush border enzymes. So now you can see this picture. Here you can see this can be digested easily by maltase. This can also be digested by maltase. This can also be digested by, this is actually disaccharide of galactose, lactose, and galactose is lactose. So it will be digested by lactase. The result is galactose, one galactose and one glucose. And this is fructose, glucose is sucrose, and it is digested by sucrase. Now you can see this is a limit dextrin. No? Limit dextrin is digested by limit dextrinase, and this part can be digested by maltase also. This part can be digested, but this is digested by limit dextrinase, alpha 1 dextrinase. This dextrinase can break this bond. So you have to understand this specific enzyme that will break alpha 1,6 linkage. Dextrinase enzyme will break alpha 1,6 linkage, which is present on intestinal brush border. I'll tell you. So you can see this. You can see this picture. Can you see this picture? So this is, can you see this brush border? Have you been taught microanatomy of intestine, histology? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
So you must have been taught this, haven't you? This brush border.
Yes, sir. Brush borders, yeah. Microvilli,
You
small
know this
intestine.
region between this brush border is called crypt of Lieberkühn. You know that? Crypt
Yes.
of
Yes,
Lieberkühn.
Lieberkühn.
So this script, in this script, actually, in this script, enzymes are bound like this. You can see here, brush border is there, fine brush border is there. This brush border, if you elongate, this will become like this. At this, you will see the enzymes are attached to this membrane in the crypt of Lieberkühn here. Okay, attached to the membrane. It is not free enzyme. Intestinal enzymes are not free enzyme. Remember that. It is not free enzyme. It is bound to the membrane, brush border. So digestion will happen at this enzymes at this site. So I will show you these enzymes. You can see these are the enzymes. You can see sucrase, isomaltase, maltase, and then lactase. These are present here. It will digest lactose like that. So you can see this enzyme. This is the repeat picture that you have already. I have already displayed this picture in MD1.
Yes, sir.
Yes, maltase is present here. Maltase. So these disaccharides are present here on the brush border. All disaccharides and dextrinase, and even intestinal proteases are also attached to this Lieberkühn, this brush border membrane. So all whatever enzyme you study, intestinal enzymes, they are bound to this brush border, not free. They are not free. So absorption of only monosaccharide are absorbed by intestines. Absorption rate of galactose is more than that of glucose. So this is not, I have done this. So glucose and then fructose is absorbed less at lesser rate. So glucose, galactose is absorbed at very high rate than glucose than fructose. So this is very important. Carbohydrates are polar and they cannot diffuse through the membrane. That is why it requires transport system. So there is secondary transport system, secondary active transport system. This glucose and galactose are absorbed through this secondary active transport system, which is called SGLUT. Do you remember about this? Sodium dependent glucose transporter. Do you remember about this? This is called secondary active transport. Why is it called secondary active transport? It is a co-transport and secondary active. Co-transport, it is also a symport. Anyone, do you remember about this transport system, this molecule?
Yes, sir.
So it's easy. Why is it called secondary active transport? I'll let you know. So you can see here. So this is secondary active transport because this is the molecule that will absorb glucose that is present on brush border, and it will absorb glucose, but it will not utilize ATP directly. What happens? This molecule will utilize ATP, sodium potassium ATPase. Now this molecule, what does this molecule do? This molecule create vacuum of Na plus. Okay, so Na plus is very less inside it. So because of that, Na plus will be sucked. So there will be suction effect of sodium from this luminal fluid, and when it sucks sodium, along with sodium, glucose will also be absorbed. Did you understand this? Against the concentration gradient of glucose, even though there is very high amount of glucose, because sodium is low here, sodium will be absorbed, sodium will be sucked, and because of suction of this sodium, what will happen? This glucose will also be sucked. So did you understand secondary active transport? This is called secondary active transport. So sodium, glucose is absorbed through secondary active transport. This is very important. On this mechanism only ORS fluid is made. So you can see this ORS formulation. You will see sodium and glucose will be together. You can see glucose anhydrous 20 gram here and sodium chloride here. With this sodium, there can be other minerals also. You can see the addition of this potassium chloride and sodium citrate. But these two are very important. And this is based on this sodium dependent glucose transporter as GLUT. So absorption of other sugar, you can see galactose is absorbed as the same way, and fructose is absorbed by GLUT5, glucose transporter 5. Now let's talk about this lactose intolerance. So what will happen? So in some condition there will be the enzyme lactase. It is deficient. As the person grow up, then also what will happen? Lactase will be deficiency. There will be low lactase, and lactase can be deficient from birth also. So primary lactase deficiency are those lactase deficiency which happens when you grow up. Okay, so this is primary lactase deficiency occurs in almost all people. This is normal phenomenon. Secondary lactase deficiency, small intestine stops producing lactase after a short or long illness. So because of illness, if there is no lactase production, then if there is because of aging, it is not produced, it is primary. When it is because of disease, it is called secondary, and this is more important. Congenital lactase deficiency is more important for us. So when there is congenital deficiency, this when a baby is fed with milk, so that baby will have a problem because the baby does not have lactose, and that baby cannot digest this mother's milk. So what will happen in such baby? The symptoms, there will be similar type of symptoms as you written in the flatulence, because I'll tell you this lactose, if it is not digested, what will happen? In lactose will reach large intestine. Will reach large intestine. In large intestine there is bacteria. So this bacteria will metabolize this lactose, and because of that there will be production of gas. There will be production of gas, and there will be, because of non-digestion, this may cause vomiting, nausea. So you can see flatulence, so gas formation, and then diarrhea can happen because of non-digestion, and then because of this gas and non-digestion there can be abdominal pain, and this nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and diarrhea and flatulence. These are the presentation of lactose intolerance. Okay, these are the presentation of lactose intolerance. This is very easy disorder. You don't have to you have to understand that if milk is not being digested from this, it will cause this lactose intolerance because of congenital deficiency. Of 90% of this American and Asian population have lactose intolerance. They say that after they grow, not like this. Now after they grow, this is about growth. This is the general presentation, but baby will have similar presentation. Newborn baby will have similar presentation. So what do? You avoid milk in that baby. You can see it, but diarrhea, it will cause diarrhea. So what do? We avoid milk. We avoid milk. Okay. So you do elimination of. So what is this DIY? Do it.
Do it yourself.
Yourself. Yes, do it yourself. So do it yourself. So this is the taste you can do yourself. How? So you avoid the lactose diet. Then you see if you feel relief. That is means you maybe the baby may have lactose intolerance. If baby digests other milk product, then baby is fine. If you give other formulation, if baby is fine, then it means the baby is lacking lactase. Now standard lactose intolerance test can be done, blood glucose level are measured before and at 30 minutes and 60 minutes after consuming this lactose. So what will happen if it is not digested? So blood sugar will not be high. There will be blood sugar will not be that high. But if lactase is digested, so there will be change in blood sugar. So this standard lactose tolerance test can be done, and hydrogen breath test can also be done. Hydrogen breath test can be this breath is taken and then it is tested in some certain instrument for this breath test. So this hydrogen breath, if there is a high content of hydrogen, that means it is being digested by intestinal bacteria. If intestinal bacteria does not digest it, if the person has very enough amount of this enzyme, then what will have this person the glucose and galactose will be normally absorbed, and that is why there will not be such problem. So you can do hydrogen breath test, you can do standard lactose intolerance, and you can do this. Okay, do yourself by eliminate your lactose in diet, and then you can, if you feel better, that means you may have lactose intolerance. So 3 measures you can use to do this test, those to confirm this lactose intolerance. So transport of glucose from blood to tissue, you already know, it is not that new thing, everybody you know. So I'll ask question now. So
Dr. Santosh,
yes,
I have a question.
just tell me.
Concerning lactose intolerance, is it a condition that can just happen at any point in time? Like at any point in someone's life, one can just become lactose intolerant?
Yes, the person, see, after sometimes I told you there are 3 types of lactose intolerance. First type, with aging, lactase production will decrease in our body. Enzyme lactase production will decrease, and sometimes if some person will go through disease condition, any disease condition, then also lactose production suddenly stops. Okay, that can happen because of disease.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So,
Thank
Bilal, tell me which GLUT is present in muscle? Glucose transporter is present in muscle.
2.
Muscle.
Oh, 4. Sorry. I was
Why you
stuck.
forget? That is why I asked you.
Sorry, I was thinking of liver.
Glucose, GLUT4. And what is specific about this GLUT4? This is insulin dependent.
high affinity for glucose.
Yes, insulin dependent glucose transporter. When insulin is high, then only glucose can be transported to muscle through this GLUT4. This glucose transporter, these are active transporter or passive, or which type of transporter is this? Active or passive? Glutar? Which type of transporter? Active transporter or passive? Only 2 choices. Active or passive? A and B, 2 choices are only. Just tell me, which type of transporter is this? GLUT and S-GLUT. You have S-GLUT. Yes? Anyone? Choose one. I will not tell anything. Even if you are wrong.
I think GLUT is active,
GLUT is-
while S-GLUT is passive.
S-GLUT is passive.
Yeah.
Yes, GLUT is active and GLUT
Yes,
is
S-GLUT is active. You call it active.
What
Which
does the
active?
S stand for?
Secondary active.
Oh,
S for sodium.
Oh, it utilizes ATP directly now.
No, this is S-GLUT. You can see this is secondary active transporter. Don't forget this. Okay, secondary active transport, active or active, and that active is secondary active. Now tell me about this. Divya, you can tell. I will not do anything. You can be wrong also. Bilal,
Yes, sir.
tell me, GLUT is active or passive? You can tell. I know. You know. It is
Passive.
50%. You can be right 50% if you choose one.
GLUT is active and S-GLUT is passive.
Passive again. See again you said passive. It
He
is
said S-GLUT is active.
yes, GLUT is active.
Active.
Secondary active. And this GLUT is
Passive for mine.
it is passive. Passive. Facilitated is what?
Sir, can you hear me? Because I can't hear any voice.
Now you can't hear my voice,
I can't
Divya.
hear anyone.
See,
Divya.
so this is what happens. This very bad thing. This
I cannot hear, sir.
It's probably our internet.
okay. So I don't have problem. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Divya. So anyway, GLUT is passive transporter. Which type of passive means facilitated diffusion?
Yes.
This is a facilitated diffusion. Okay, facilitated means high concentration to low concentration. High concentration to low concentration. Glucose will move. If cell has very low concentration, blood has high concentration, then it will move into cell. So this is GLUT are facilitated diffusion. So GLUT2 is present in liver and beta cell of pancreas.
Pancreas.
And these are low affinity. Though these are low affinity, this will help you spare our body. This GLUT2 is help spare blood glucose for brain during fasting condition. This GLUT2. This will work along with glucokinase. Glucokinase also have same property. It also has low affinity for glucose. So this is GLUT2. GLUT1 and GLUT3 are very high affinity. They have high affinity because they are present in, you can see, brain and erythrocytes and other tissue as well. You can see endothelium and lipid. You can see brain, placenta, testis. GLUT3 it is also high affinity. GLUT2 is low affinity. GLUT4 is insulin responsive. When insulin concentration rises, then insulin causes entry of glucose into a skeletal muscle. Also in adipocyte. GLUT4 is also present in adipocyte. Skeletal muscle, adipocyte. And along with the skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle also, because cardiac heart here is also very similar to skeletal muscle. Now GLUT5, I have already told you, it is for fructose.